Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you so much for joining. Before we get into our conversation, I am going to give a little bit of background information about what we're talking about today. So again, to everyone who's now joining, my name is Kelsey Niette, and welcome to our very first Conversations with Kelsey for Our Common Good. We here at For Our Common Good are committed to boosting the voices of local nonprofits. For Our Common Good believes in making change through spotlighting community-based nonprofits across the country and providing our support by spreading awareness of different issues. Today, our focus is homelessness, specifically Los Angeles' very own Skid Row, home to over 4,700 and notorious for its high levels of poverty and homelessness. To that end, I'd like to welcome Victoria Bech, founder of Starts With One Today, which is a Los Angeles-based nonprofit whose mission is to change and impact 1 million lives, starting with one at a time. All right, so you said you're doing great, so are you ready to get started today?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, then. So would you mind telling our wonderful audience what Starts With One Today is?
Yeah, so Starts with One Today is a nonprofit that I started about 4 or 5 years ago. It started with a preschool in Skid Row. It turned into a kids and a youth and teen program as well. We had 148 kids. Then I started collaborating with other organizations to do more adult outreach. I started going into jails, prisons, and juvenile facilities with other organizations. And then last year, myself and my boyfriend Jonathan from Angelic Beings, we started Sundays in Skid Row, where we now feed and clothe between 200 to 400 people. And then we also feed about 50 families in our community here in the Crenshaw district in South LA. And in January, February-ish, we started our first transitional house, so we can offer something more long-term for the community. So we are offering housing for either formerly incarcerated individuals or people suffering from homelessness, or just, people who are just like on a journey and in that mid area of life where they need like housing. So yeah, so that's like overall what we do.
Wow, that sounds like amazing work. I would just like to go ahead and thank you so much for your contributions to the Los Angeles community, as well as to the global community of people who are currently struggling with homelessness. I know that your efforts have already made a difference, and that is something we will be getting into today. So thank you so much again. Um, it is the ultimate goal of Starts With One Today to impact 1 million lives, and that is a lot of lives to change. So I thank you for your ambition in that. To help get you there, as you said, in 2017 you began feeding and clothing the homeless in Skid Row through your initiative Sundays in Skid Row, and within the same year you began a preschool to help families struggling with access to education. For someone who came from the Danish entertainment industry, you're a long ways from your roots. Tell us, how did you get to Skid Row? It's deep in the heart of downtown LA, pretty much the other side of the world from where you got your start. What led you to Skid Row and the decision to begin Starts With One Today?
Yeah, so what led me to Skid Row is the fact that my own dad spent a lot of time in Skid Row overseas. He was struggling with addiction since I was very, very little. So it's always been close to my heart. And then in 2016, I had a near-death experience. I got very, very sick from a dental visit, and I was in the hospital for a while, and I was very sick with a home nurse, and just kind of everything was turned upside down, and I decided to dedicate my life to giving back. And I had this like change where before I used to want the world to know me for my talent, and now I want the world to know me for my heart. So I just, at a time where I had nothing and I was in a lot of debt, lost cars, housing, offices, and everything that I really had, I just decided to give the only thing that I still had left that was my time. Um, and when you're going through a hard time, sometimes if you start helping people who are doing worse than you most likely will forget about your own problems because your focus is now towards someone who's actually doing worse than you. So that's kind of how we got started in Skid Row.
Wow, I knew that would be such an interesting answer, especially whenever I was able to read a little bit about your companies and their mission statements. But I definitely was not expecting that. So thank you so much for your dedication to this. I know that it means a lot to a lot of people out there who are struggling, and so thank you for that. How did you take Starts With One Today from an idea to this reality?
I mean, I think a lot of people in life in general just get stuck on the how, where I always try to get like focus on the why. Because when I started a preschool, like I only have a high school education, so I don't really know a lot about schooling, but I could see a need, and God led me to that place for a reason. And I think I just focused on why I was there and just gave everything that I did have. And in the middle of everything, God just kept providing, just kept, making it happen, opening new doors for me. And I didn't even know like what a 501c3 were first, which for everyone who doesn't know, that's a number you need to be a nonprofit. So I had to figure that out as I was going. But in the whole time of me figuring it out, I never lost track of why I started. So I just kept giving back, kept showing up, kept the focus on the why, and then like the how automatically just started, getting solved. And that's pretty much how it got started. Because I think a lot of times people have a lot of dreams and things they want to do in life, but they get stuck, at the desk forming a business plan. And but at the same time, if I was getting stuck forming a business plan or thinking about how I'm going to do it, like every single day there are people who are hungry. Every single day there are people that you can like be a change for. So the longer you take to get out in the community and give back, whether it's to animals, adults, kids, whatever, like just remember, like we are talking about real people. Like these are real lives, and their world don't stop because you need time to figure out how to get going. So that's pretty much how it just started.
That's an amazing story. With taking the leap from passing out food and clothing in Skid Row to providing transitional housing through the Find a Purpose Academy. I'm not sure how you pronounce that acronym, but I've been pronouncing it up, so please correct me if that's wrong.
That's
Um,
totally good.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That's totally the right way.
All right,
Find a
thank you
Purpose
very
Academy,
much.
and we call it the Fab Five. It goes both ways.
All right, thank you very much. With providing that transitional housing through the FAB Academy, you've taken a lot of steps to help those around you, and you've shaped your path through your goals. At what point do you know that it's time to move those goalposts? Does that happen organically, or do you have specific goals and timeframes in mind from the start?
I don't really. This is gonna sound terrible. I don't really set goals. Like my partner Jonathan sets goals a lot. Like he does weekly goals, monthly goals. But I am more just like if I see a need, like I truly, truly believe God put that need on my journey right here and now for me to act on it and do something now. So he's been more like making goals and like we should do this, this and that. But I'm more if I see someone who's hungry, like I'm gonna go get food. If I see someone who needs housing, I'm gonna find a house for that person. Now our house is it's full. I'm like, would you get another house? Like nothing is very like planned per se because again we're dealing with human lives. So I'm more like take action right away when I see something. So I think, yeah, that's probably. I hope that answered your question.
It did. Thank you so much. Being able to be active, especially nowadays, being able to go out and actually put action to whatever thought you have is so important, and especially if you're going to create change. So, through Starts With One today, how do you realistically hope to change society on a social and political level?
Yeah, I think the first step to changing the world is just start with the people God puts in front of you. I think a lot of people think it takes a lot to make the world a better place, but it doesn't. Like that's why it's called Starts with One Today because all it takes is one person. It starts with one hug, one hi, one meal, you know, one coffee. Like there are so many ways that you can go out and change the world today and be a blessing to someone else. And I think your main focus when you wake up should always be how can I make the world a better place for someone else besides myself? And I really think that's how we start and that's how we make the world a better place. And that's why, the goal and the mission is to change a million lives. Like I want a million lives to walk around saying because of Stars of One today, because of Victoria, my life has changed today. Um, and we all have that power. Like we all have the power to change the world starting like today.
And in being able to create that change, one thing that you specifically have done through Starts With One today is begin your initiative Sundays in Skid Row. Um, how long have you been doing Sundays in Skid Row, and what is your favorite part of that experience?
So, Jonathan and I, we started Sundays in Skid Row in 2020, 1st of December. So we really have only been doing it for 6 months, which is so like insane. The growth that we have had and the amount of people we have fed. We counted the other day and we fed over like close to like 10,000 people already, which is insane because we are both still very young. Um, but yeah, so we started that in December 2020 in the middle of a pandemic where everyone was saying, don't start, you can't, everyone was like doubting it and stuff. But I got nominated as a local hero. I got contracts with Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and I within 2 days got all the food and we had to distribute it somehow. And that's really how Sundays in Skid Row started. Like, we didn't have like music at first, we didn't have tablecloth, we didn't have like all the fancy stuff we have now. Like, we just set up tables, we were like 4 or 5 people handing out food to like close to 450 people that first Sunday. So that's how it started. And I think my favorite part about Sundays in Skid Row is being able to provide the community with really nutritious, healthy, quality foods, and then also just the amount of people that I've met. Like, most of our volunteers, like, I didn't know before starting Sundays in Skid Row. So I've just met the most incredible human beings, just made new friends. And it truly feels like a family. And both Jonathan and I, we really, really like love our volunteers. Like, they really are like family to us. And it's so awesome to see how many good people there still exist in the world. So I think that's my favorite part.
In being able to create that change is so important in your goal of those 1 million lives. And so I know that being able to go out and experience that is so important. Um, aside from necessarily the open good things about it, what is the overall experience like as an individual who gets to go out and help these people every single Sunday? Um, I can't imagine something like that ever gets boring or ever stops being rewarding.
No, like, it's definitely never boring. It's never boring, that's for sure. I'm not gonna lie, it can get a little tiring because we pick up food 3 times Friday, Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and then twice on Sunday morning, also at 7 a.m. So we don't really have a lot of like free time on the weekend. We don't get to ever sleep in. So of course it can be a little hard sometimes. Um, but overall, it like I would do it in a heartbeat. Like, it's such a fulfilling experience going down there. And and we kind of tend to forget that, or we think we're just helping the community, but the volunteers that come, like, they're starting to share stories of how we've changed their lives and how they, like, we provided a community for them that they didn't have before, or like a feeling of family. And even now, I just saw a homeless nerd just joined. She's actually one of my favorite people down on Sundays in Skid Row that I actually met when she was homeless in Skid Row about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now she's one of our number one volunteers because she now has housing. Um, so it's just like a really cool feeling of like creating community for people who you might never would have created community with before.
It's so important to at least know that you always have that community, like you were saying, to know that you have those connections to be able to get yourself through the harder times. And so I know that a lot of people do feel that love, especially coming from organizations like Starts With One Today. In that, Starts With One Today partners with a variety of similarly based service groups, as does the Pop Academy, and a majority of them dedicate their time volunteers to helping with Sundays in Skid Row. How did you go about assisting in building this network of nonprofits and like-minded organizations, and what has that experience been like?
Yeah, so the how we really went about like teaming up with other organizations is, honestly, we it's like so crazy. We have never reached out to anyone for help, for donations, for partnerships, nothing. Like, everyone has always came to us and wanted to be part of what we were doing. So we've really just attracted them. I guess God sent them our way, and I wish I had a better answer of like, this is how you do it, like 1, 2, 3 steps, but I really don't. Like everything we're doing like does not make sense. Like it, the only way it makes sense is that it is a higher power that's in control, because it really like I wish I had like a 1, 2, 3 steps for you to how to do it, but we are just every week we get asked if you want to partner up with organizations, if you want to collaborate, and it's just incredible to see that so many people are inspired and other organizations are inspired by what we do as well.
Being able to find that inspiration and going out and helping others is vital to the success or to the success of organizations like Starts With One today. But I don't have to tell you that. I know that you already know. And in that further, I know that you operate under the belief that everybody is someone's somebody, which is so important, and I can't help but agree with you on that. And how has that been able to influence your work to where you are today?
Yeah, so we always start all our services with reminding our volunteers that everybody is someone, somebody. Again, because my own dad spent a lot of time in Skid Row, so and Jonathan had a family, a close family member, spent a lot of time in Skid Row as well. So when we are serving people, I want them to remember that you could be serving my dad, and I want people to remember that everyone who comes through the line with us, they are loved by somebody. Like they're someone's father, someone's daughter, like it's someone's, cousin. Like these are real people. There is on the other side like a family that's, missing them and wanting them to have a better life. And like there are people that really truly care for them. And I think that's really important to remember also, that we as volunteers are not better than them, because it only takes like 1 or 2 decisions and you could be down in Skid Row. Like it's not like the distance from where we are, from like from one end of the table to the other end, is not that big. And these are all regular people. Like there's nothing that makes them more qualified to be in Skid Row than someone like myself. And I want all our volunteers always remember that when we are serving.
Being able to allow people who are struggling with homelessness to have those humanizing moments where people don't look at them like they're any lesser is so important, as you said, and to be able to help them to know that they are someone's somebody, someone, and that is important. And so you being able to spread that message, I can't tell you that as someone who is 17 and who knows kids who are struggling with homelessness, that is so important. Um, and so I speak from personal experience and that from people that I've known. So that is really important. And in addition to that, with the problems that organizations like Starts With One today are currently addressing, that is something that will either currently impact my generation or will in the future be something that we inherit. How are you taking steps to get my generation involved so that we can fight this epidemic of all of these different issues that we're seeing in America right now?
Yeah, so one of the ways that I try to incorporate our like youth is, um, we have interns that do most of our social media together with myself. Because I also have a social media agency that I do besides my nonprofit. But all our social media accounts are ran by the youth, all like through internships from different schools. We have a mentorship program as well that Jonathan and I we do. So that's kind of how we want to impact and involve the youth. So they really, whenever you come on our social media, like you were talking to one of our amazing interns, and we truly have like the best interns. They're so sweet and kind, and they're just really good at what they do, and they're just constantly open to learning, and they're growing so much, and we really couldn't do it without them. So thank you.
All right. That is so important to be able to have people in my generation to be able to get involved, to have the youth participating actively. Like you said, you have youth participating through social media. Are there any ways that you would recommend starting for youth to be able to volunteer, whether it be with Starts With One Today or other organizations that combat similar issues?
Yeah, so I think, well, first thing is just take action. If you find an organization you like, send them an email, send them a DM, and ask how you can get involved. Like we try for Source One today to make it super easy. Most people, they email us a DM us like, how can I volunteer on Sundays? And the answer is just show up. You know, we don't really go through like a long list of things and hoops you have to go through, and you know, because we want to make it easy. So for at least for us, all you got to do is really just show up on Sundays, 8:30 down in Skid Row on Fifth and Town, um, and you're involved. And then you know from there, like we just had this past weekend, we had two girls who are like I believe around like 16 to 18. Their mom has been coming and she brought her kids with her, and they set up their own clothes drive in their community and went door to door knocking for donations, and they ended up getting 30 bags of clothes and blankets that they brought down to Skid Row on Sunday. So you know, like there are so many ways when you start coming out with us that you can see a need and you can reach out to your own community to supply our Skid Row family with all the stuff that we're handing out.
Wow. So with being able to have this sort of situation, especially with the pandemic, I know that teens like myself who are not necessarily located in the Los Angeles area would like to do their part to help however they can. Do you offer virtual opportunities for youth like myself to be able to volunteer alongside the in-person work?
Yeah, so most of our like online virtual is usually through our internships. You know, also we are getting ready to do a big fundraiser for we're raising money for a van. So, you know, even something like that, like if you were not local, if you are in a different state, you can, you know, set up your own fundraiser to help us raise money, you know, go to your school, go to your local clubs, or use social media to help us raise money, or like that type of stuff. That's always very, very useful. We also have several links in our link tree and in our bio on how you can donate, but also how you can support, for example, our grocery list. So there's like many different ways for you to support.
Wow. Thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to share with us before you go?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think we talked about everything. Thank you so much, everyone who's been watching. And make sure if you are in LA, come out volunteer with us every Sunday at 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. We're always looking for volunteers. And if you want to donate, please do so. You can click the link in our bio. All of our profits, they go to the organization, goes to, you know, supplies, bags, gloves, you know, all that little things that you forget that we need. And yeah, so if you have any ideas for how we could collaborate or any ideas for anything, just send us a DM and one of our amazing interns will definitely get back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Victoria. I don't know about y'all at home, but I am definitely feeling inspired right now to go out and do some good. Victoria is a true giver at heart, and we give her a very big thank you for sitting down with us today. So thank you again so much. Uh, we can't wait to see what you and Starts With One Today do next. For anyone who is looking for more information about Starts With One Today or the FOP Academy, you can go to startswithonetoday.org or fopacademy.com. That is fapacademy.com. And they are also on Instagram at Starts With One Today and at FOP Academy. And remember, all it takes is one person to make a difference. And if anything, Victoria is a true inspiration in that fact alone and many others. So thank you so much for your service and for everything that you've done to help the people in Los Angeles and across the country, especially in inspiring a new generation of people who are actively serving others. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job doing this. I'm excited to see everyone else you will be interviewing.
Right. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Have a great day.
You do the same. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you all so much to everyone who tuned in. Be sure to bring your folding chairs back on August 9th when we sit down with Sean Sueb of the New Avenues for Youth based in Portland to talk about similar issues for teens struggling with homelessness, as well as a variety of other issues that New Avenues for Youth assists with in the Portland area. Once again, my name is Kelsey Niet, and this has been Conversations with Kelsey for Our Common Good. Thank y'all so much, and have an amazing day.